Okay, we just got a verification directly from the police and a federal court of appeals on the truth of something we always say on this channel. If you think your problems are bad now, wait till the police show up. In other words, there's no problem so great that it couldn't be made worse when the police arrive. A federal court of appeals has ruled that police can shoot hostages, even intentionally, if they fear for their lives or to stop a fleeing felon. Don Davis was a Georgia truck driver who was shot not once, not twice, not 5 times, but 9 times by troopers and deputies who were trying to stop a murder suspect who was holding Davis hostage in his truck. I just want to reiterate, the cops shot this man intentionally. The shooting happened in 2015, but the U.S. Supreme Court just this week let stand a federal court ruling that police owe the hostage nothing for his medical bills or the lasting effects of the officer-inflicted gunshot wounds. As the story goes, in August 2015, Oglethorpe County Sheriff's deputies and Georgia State Patrol troopers were waiting on a dirt road outside a logging camp. They were waiting for murder suspect Ryan Arnold. Turns out that Arnold was terrorizing the loggers and was planning his escape. He'd already shot his pregnant girlfriend and left her for dead before leading police on a chase. A trooper exchanged gunfire with the murder suspect before his getaway car ran out of gas at the logging camp. Don Davis was getting ready to pull out with a full load of lumber when Arnold jumped into his truck with a rifle. According to Mr. Davis, he fired a shot and blew his side mirror out. Davis picked up his phone and called 911, and the kidnapper knew he was calling.
He's in my truck and he's coming out to do it now. He said I won't survive if I don't get to the hospital.
He fired a shot, blew my side mirror out. I thought that was my head, but I got lucky.
Dispatch records confirmed that the police were told that the hostage was driving the logging truck with the killer threatening his life.
The subject y'all are looking for is in the vehicle with him, advising if he does not go where he tells him to, he will kill him.
Some of the officers, of course, testified that they didn't hear that message, while others confirmed that they knew there was a hostage in the truck.
The dude that he's in the truck with just called. So if he didn't do what he said, that he would kill him. So he has the truck driver hostage? Yes.
The 18-wheeler rolled toward the police cars that were blocking the road and started pushing them out of the way. Officers had to take cover behind the cars. The driver's window of the logging truck was completely missing because the murder suspect had already shot it out while taking Davis hostage. 2 Georgia State Patrol troopers and a pair of Oglethorpe County deputies opened fire on the cab of the truck using shotguns, a pistol, and a fully automatic tactical rifle. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation determined the gunfire was concentrated on the driver's side of the cab where the hostage was sitting, not the passenger side where the murder suspect was sitting. GBI Special Agent in Charge Jesse Maddox told lawyers in a deposition, quote, "Shooting the driver, shooting who is driving that truck will stop that truck. It's almost like Mr. Davis would have been safer in the hands of the kidnapper." The truck was riddled with more than 35 bullet holes. Davis ended up stopping the truck and jumping out after he was already hit 8 times. He said he had to get out of there. He bailed out, he put his hands up, and he still got shot. It makes you wonder how the cops would have responded if the hostage was a fellow police officer. Or does it make you think? A police officer shot the hostage again as he jumped out of the truck to get away from the kidnapper. The officer testified he didn't realize the man jumping out was the hostage until he had already opened fire. And that's BS because it was made crystal clear that the man jumping out of the driver's side was the innocent one. The hostage that should have been protected by the cops. Davis was shot in his shoulder, hip, and leg. His right hand was nearly blown off and doctors were able to reconstruct it, but he lost 2 fingers. Apparently, during part of the interaction, Arnold had been hiding on the floorboard with a rifle trained at Davis' head. The kidnapper suffered far less injuries and was placed into an ambulance on the scene while Mr. Davis was life-flighted. Arnold pled guilty to murder, kidnapping, and other felonies. Davis and his wife Kathy sued the officers in federal court. Oglethorpe County and 2 sheriff's deputies settled with the couple for $195,000 as part of a court-ordered mediation. The rest of the case was thrown out by the U.S. District Court. The federal judge ruled, although plaintiff was a hostage as the driver of the log truck, he posed not only a threat of serious physical harm to the officers and others, but plaintiff was also facilitating the escape of an armed and dangerous suspect. Thus, the defendants, that's the cops' use of deadly force when they fired at the plaintiff in the driver's side of the truck, was reasonable to protect themselves and others and prevent Arnold's escape. How do you think the federal judge would have ruled if the hostage was his wife, his son, or his daughter? Attorney Render Freeman refused to take a penny of Davis's settlement and pressed forward with appeals to higher courts. Freeman said, quote, "We're not aware of any case in the country that says that an officer may strategically choose on purpose to shoot the innocent hostage as a way of apprehending the criminal." The 11th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals in Atlanta also tossed the case by affirming the lower court's ruling. The appeals panel said it was a, quote, "tragic story, but still a lawful one, largely because the officers are protected from civil liability under qualified immunity." The 11th Circuit judges said, quote, "To the extent Davis suggests that deadly force may never be used against an innocent victim, we can find no case asserting that proposition so categorically." The judges determined, quote, "Davis drove the truck towards 7 officers gathered at the scene and showed no signs of stopping, even though he was forced to do so at gunpoint." The appeals court panel added, quote, "Several of the officers opened fire on the cab of the truck, even though they allegedly knew Davis, an innocent hostage, was being forced to drive," end quote. Ultimately, the appeals court ruled that the officers, quote, "made the difficult but altogether reasonable decision that Arnold and the logging truck had to be stopped. And tragically, that meant stopping Davis too," end quote. The 11th Circuit Judge Jill Pryor agreed with the rest of the panel's decision, but she determined that the trooper who shot the hostage when he jumped out went too far, ruling the, quote, "final shotgun blast violated Davis's constitutional right to be free from the unreasonable use of deadly force," end quote. But the judge said the trooper was still not liable because he was, quote, "entitled to qualified immunity." How much qualified immunity do you think they would let run free in society if they were the ones who were taken hostage? My bet is 0. But here's the real kick in the groin about this entire tragic story. Every body cam and dash cam video mysteriously went missing. But the voices of troopers were captured by a state patrol cruiser responding to the scene.
We shot a hostage?
Yeah.
Did we shoot him?
Yeah, we have.
Good.
We shot them both.
Hey, all's well that ends well.
Amen.
As long as none of us gets hurt, we're making memories.
That's right.
These cops laughed and thought it was a good idea that both men were shot. And they reiterated what we've heard so many times in the past, that officer safety takes precedent over everything, including the lives of the innocent. As long as none of us gets hurt, we're making memories. That seems to be the mentality of all law enforcers in general. To them, your rights don't matter. Your life doesn't matter. What truly matters is that at the end of the day, they get to go home to their families. And the courts agree. Thus, the meaning of the thin blue line badge. It's a division between us and them. And that's straight from the Georgia State Patrol and the Oglethorpe County Sheriff's Department. I'll leave that information in the description, and you leave your thoughts in the comments. It definitely helps with algorithmic suppression. Remember, freedom is dangerous. The only thing more dangerous is not having it. I'll see you in the next video.